Hi, Jason Pilgrim here from the Profitable Practice Podcast, where we help allied health professionals just like you empower and inspire the lives of so many more people by building bigger and better businesses. Let's go and get stuck in right now. Okay, so we've all heard we need to be better with time. We need to have a better understanding of where we're going, what we're doing. We all hear that rubbish about, time management and all that type of stuff. We have all these so-called and self-professed gurus. We get a lot of them in our industry too, turning around and saying, you've got to be better at time management, or let me show you the best management strategies I use to be the most effective time management in my business, etc. And to be totally honest, guys, anyone who talks about the time management side of things just doesn't actually get it. Because here's the thing, there's several main parts here that I want to take you through in this podcast. And I've just got to say, for those who are actually watching this as well, I'm actually in Fiji. I'm sitting inside my room overlooking some absolutely beautiful islands and the beach. But, as with these things, you try and, I'm traveling again at the moment, and when you don't have the right lighting behind the camera, basically the whole thing looks like crap. So I've had to come inside away from the really bright light outside to do this. So for those that aren't seeing this, I've got this picture up behind me to try and replicate a little bit of what I'm experiencing outside here in Fiji at the moment. Having a lot of fun over here, but here's the thing. I'm actually very, very effective with the way that I manage my tasks, not actually working in and around time management. Because here's the thing, guys. The biggest thing that frustrates, the people in the know that understand this is that you can't manage time. So while people are out there telling you you've got to be better at time management and you've got to manage your time better and you've got to manage, it's absolute rubbish because you can't manage time. As I said, I'm in here in Fiji at the moment, and the reality is Fiji have 60 minutes in an hour, they have 24 hours in a day, they have 7 days in a week. I've just been in Vanuatu last week and they've got 60 minutes an hour, they've got 7 days in a week, they've got 24 hours in a day. So it makes me wonder how people think that they can manage time. It changes the complete complexity of the way mentality is for work. And it might sound to you right now going, oh, well, that's pretty common sense. But here's the thing. The more you talk about time management, the more you're actually allowing the wrong NLP into your brain. And how we play games is how we play life. How you talk to yourself, when you're by yourself, about yourself is more important than anything else. What you allow with your language and your tonality, communicating in your own head, is literally more important than anything else that you see or hear. And so if you allow yourself to actually be in a situation where you talk about time management, then you might say, oh, well, I know and I know and I know. Well, I know that I can't manage time. Well, here's the thing. A very famous Chinese philosopher, and I talk to different people about this. I say maybe it was Jackie Chan, maybe it was Buddha, maybe it was one of the clients that we work with is Eugene Lim down in Melbourne. And but no, in all seriousness, guys, and now I've got a mental blank and can't think of the dude's name. It was a Chinese philosopher many years ago said something very, very famous, and it was, to know and not to do is not to know. So if you're sitting there now with your arms folded and you're going, yeah, no, I know that, like that's common sense, yet you don't have a very streamlined system of how you run this for yourself in your own personal and professional life, then what that says is that you're exactly working off this ancient Chinese philosophy of you're saying you know, but you're not actually doing, which means you don't actually know it. And that's what I want to try and make sure that you work with right now. You can't manage time, so stop talking about managing time. What you can manage is tasks. And I'll get to that second part and I'll give you a really key, simple way of actually doing that. But the big part that you need to stop and understand is that when you allow yourself to talk about time management and being more managing your time with this and that, etc., what you're actually doing is allowing the wrong NLP to actually formulate in your brain. You're actually enabling your brain to start talking about the ability to manage things that are outside of your control. So you start to have the wrong NLP. You know as well as I do that you've caught yourself so many times recently going, oh no, I don't have time for that. I really need to do this part of marketing, or geez, I really like to oh, I can't, no, I just can't fit that in, I just don't have time. And that's the thing, you do actually have time. So to sit there and say, oh, well, it's common sense, we can't manage time, it's not about that principle itself, it's about the implementation and the mentality. Because whilst you talk about managing time, you then actually enable and open up the brain pathway to then say that you don't have time for things. You can't have that extra time to see that client, or I don't have time to do that marketing, or oh geez, if only I had some more time to market my business. Oh, you know, I just find I run out of time at the end of the day and I haven't done my social media for the day, or oh, I just don't have time to, you know, go and pick the kids up from school. I'll have to get my friend, I have to get them to catch the bus home and things like that. That's absolute rubbish, guys, to be totally honest. That's you giving yourself excuses and playing below the line. You're blaming something else. You're trying to make excuses. You're denying that you're the one that, you're denying that you're not in control of those things. And so what I'm trying to do right now is make you understand that it's not just a simple understanding of don't use the word time or time management because you can't control time. That's a given. We know that. You know that. I know that. We all know that. But here's the thing. Oh, excuse me. Here's the thing. Whilst you allow yourself to do it, which each of us still do at points in time, some more so than others, you're giving your brain the avenue to then turn around and make bullshit excuses about not having time for other things. And that's the NLP part that I was talking about a few moments ago that no one stops to think about. Think about how many times every day you would like to be doing something else, but you don't have time. Or you want to do something else with a client, but it's like, oh no, because I've got to do this. Or you haven't been to do, see that doctor because of such and such, or you haven't done your social media, or you haven't actually run the email marketing campaign, or any of those things. Write a list. I mean, seriously, it's crazy. You could write a list of how many things you've actually been, should have been doing, could have done, didn't do, wouldn't do. Doesn't matter how you want to phrase it, guys. The fact of the matter is, you're allowing the NLP of the pathway of your brain to then use time as an excuse. Now, I don't want to brag about this, but I think it's really important. I have 6 companies. I have 3 inside the allied health industry. I have 3 outside. I just sold 2 in the last 6 months because I was too busy, right? And I've got importing companies, cosmetic injecting companies. I've got banking over in America and stuff like that. We're doing 7- and 8-figure deals and these type of things. I mean, I'm working across time zones. We've got our guys doing bots in the Netherlands. We've got our videographers in Tokyo. We've got our VAs in the Philippines. We've got graphic designers in the Maldives. We're working across so many different time zones. Does that mean that my diary goes from 4 or 5 in the morning till 11 or 12 at night? In theory, absolutely it could. But here's the thing. I don't allow it to, but nor do I allow that bullshit if I don't have time for it. And it's kind of crazy because I get people asking me all the time, how do you do this? How do you find time, Jace, to do this and this? Or how do you fit it in? I don't have time to blah, blah, blah. That's the evidence of showing what I'm saying right now is prevalent in people's mindsets. It's prevalent in your mindset right now. And anyone who might be listening to this now saying, I don't have that, is playing below the line and playing in denial. You're denying it's in play, but every single one of us has it in play. I'll even put my hand up right now and say that at times I find myself in that situation. So this is as much a learning opportunity right now for me as it is for you right now as well. So that's the thing. It's got to be about understanding this is about not using time management and that phrasing around managing time because you can't manage time. But the flow-on effect of that is the mentality of the neuro-linguistics programming of your brain to allow you to then make excuses for why you don't have time, not do the most important things and the priorities in your business and your personal life, skip some of the really key fundamentals that are going to help you grow your business right now. And that's one of the big things that frustrates me. I see a lot of amazing allied health professionals, but I also see a lot of people really struggling. And then I also see a lot of people doing good stuff that can be great. And everyone can improve on where they are, and probably 90% of the time, I reckon people's first thing they go to is that they don't have time to do blah, blah, blah. Or they don't have I don't really have the resources of the team because I haven't had the opportunity, we've been too busy to get a new team member. Again, go back to time. There's so many different complications, permutations around this, but 90% of the time, it all comes back to a timing-based factor. Yet I say, hey, we've taken businesses from 3 clinics to 14 clinics in about 14 months. We've taken a client recently and we've increased 175% revenue in 3 months. So we've literally doubled their business in 3 months without trying. We take clients that, we've got 3 clients in the last 3 months have increased their net profit by more than 20%. That's net profit. You know, that's just unheard of. And so we do this with clients all the time. We can do it at any level. We can, 3x a business in 6 months or 8 months. That's fantastic. But it all involves doing the right things and dropping that mentality about, I don't have time, using all those time excuses. And we can't allow ourselves to talk about time management because it's not about time management. So you might be there right now going, well, that's all great, Jace, I understand that. Now I can start to work with that, get the right NLP in my brain, get those things organized, which is fantastic. But what's the solution to this? Well, I'm glad you asked, because the solution is this. It's very, very simple. You change time management into task management. So now all of a sudden you're not trying to manage time, but you're now trying to just manage the tasks. Now that sounds super simple, and it actually is really, really simple, right? Dead simple. Is it always easy to do? No, and it's not. And anyone who thinks it's easy completely is probably out the back door, not really actually understanding the whole premise behind it. I mean, you can run every business as you need to, but you need to have a default diary in place, and you need to be looking at your default diary on a monthly basis, all right? Some of the companies that we work with are multi-million-dollar companies in the allied health industry. They still only do it every, say, 2 or 3 months, and I like to get them, the business owners and that, to still do it on a monthly basis. If we're moving, accelerating the right momentum and the right acceleration in their business, then there's no reason, on the scale side of things, there's no reason why we shouldn't be doing this every month, because anything more than a monthly review of your default diary means you're actually going to be slowing down that momentum. You're actually not going to be facilitating the most amount of effectiveness that's going to drive the results and the growth and all the goals that you're wanting to actually achieve from here. So once we change around from time management and we make it task management, that's half the step done, right? We then need to actually implement the actual system and actually implement the process, the model that's going to enable that to occur. And that's where a default diary comes in. Now, a default diary isn't just, hey, here's what's on my diary. This is actually the fact that we need to be a lot more understanding of how we actually put the right priorities in place. So in other words, for a default diary, you could probably just call it like your ideal week. Now at the moment, again, because a lot of people right now that are going to be sitting there going, oh, well, I have that right now. And I love challenging people on this because very, very few of us do have that. And right now, I haven't done mine for probably about 3 or 4 weeks because I've been away overseas, and mine has changed significantly with some of the things happening over in New York for me. So the fact of the matter is this: we have to always look at putting the right ideal priorities in place all the time, because if we don't get those in place, we end up then going back to that time management side, we allow our brain to then start saying, oh, well, I don't have time for this. Oh, I'm so busy, and everything starts that negative spiral, and everything that becomes negative may not be negative. You're not a negative Nancy, I'm not saying that. But what I am saying is you then actually start that below the line mentality. You slow that momentum. So any of your growth pathways that are working, your marketing strategies, etc., we naturally have a part of the brain that self-sabotages and pulls back a little bit because we're too busy. We don't actually drive everything to the full capacity because we don't have the team, or we don't have the time in the diary, or we're just too busy, or we just, and we make all the excuses. Again, it comes down to the timing factor. So although you might be there at the moment thinking, I've got a really good ideal week, if you actually sat down right now and were really clued in to your default diary, could you ultimately sit down and say, everything that I do is working inside my genius mode of my default diary? Is it exactly the tasks that I need to be doing every minute of every day? Because one of the first things you need to do is you need to make patients being booked, or clients, whichever you want to say, patients, clients, doesn't matter. Your patients and clients that get booked in onto the diary, that actually needs to be the last thing put onto your diary, which is going to scare some of you guys. It's like, oh, but they give me the money, they do this. Yeah, but you know what? They're not your main priority. If you're trying to build a business, if you're trying to actually get the right scale, the right stability in place, the worst thing you can do is put clients on your diary first. They're not your priority. Now that sounds funny, but here's the thing. You need to be able to put your marketing in, you need to have your meetings with your teams, you need to be able to have all of the key fundamentals on your diary. Start times, finish times, your own exercise time, your own lunch times, the time for you to check emails, the time for you to do all your Facebook and social media, etc. all of those avenues for your business to roll forward, gain momentum, get more growth, accelerate and start to move forward, they have to be on your diary, on your ideal week first. Because what you're going to do is you're going to be really effective with blocking those time schedules. We then move into accountability and we keep ourselves really succinct with those time frames. And then what happens is we allow all these blocks of time to be put in place for clients or patients to then be booked into. That then makes you a lot more effective and a lot more efficient. You always want to be effective, not just efficient, okay? You can always, make something more efficient, but if you've got an idiot and you make them more efficient, you're going to make them do dumb things faster. So it's actually about being effective, not efficient. But we'll talk about that later. So here's the thing. Default Diary is about an ideal week. And when you get the right things on your ideal week first and foremost, you then have all your clients come in. You have blocks where your mentality is in the right framework at different periods of time, which is exactly what you want. And it's exactly what you need. You can go down to a second level or a third level of understanding. You can work more in depth with client and get better client results as a net result, better relationships, more raving fans. You can keep the momentum going on the marketing side. You can get stuck straight in and push forward. I mean, heck, at the moment, it would be like me cutting a bit of a podcast and then doing something else, taking a phone call, then a bit of a podcast and seeing a client. And then before you know it, I'm trying to haphazardly put together a whole podcast. And it doesn't work in that mindset, in that framework either. So here's the thing. You need a default diary, and I might actually do another podcast and go through an actual default diary of what to do, what to say, what plugs in, all the different parameters, because that'd be really, really powerful for you guys to use as a plug and play. So I'm going to make a note after this, and I'll get one of those done and up so that you guys can get the benefit of that and really plug and play with this model. It's really simple to do. It's not always easy to do, but it's very simple. It takes a little bit of accountability. It takes some understanding of how the model works and how the right things get plugged in first with the priorities, and then you have the right accountability in place to be able to move forward. And you should be able to do that and then review that every month. Because if you're building and growing at a reasonable rate, then you have no choice but to adjust that. You might have less clients, might need to spend more with the team. Maybe your priorities are more in around the team recruitment or the marketing angle, not so much just one-on-one with clients. So therefore your ideal week needs to change. And so all of these catalysts come into play over time. And so that's why you need to make sure you do it over a monthly period, not just let this go on and on and on. So here's the thing. If you haven't actually addressed your ideal week, AKA your default diary, in the last 4 weeks, then you need to do it straight away and get that done over the next couple of days. You will find literally, most people do this and they find at least an hour a day. Now think about the power of an hour a day. What are you worth for an hour of time? $200 or $300, right? So great. If you're worth, say, $200 an hour, then you sit there and you go, you've just found yourself the equivalent of 5 hours a week, an hour a day, it's $1,000. There's a strategy that's going to give you about $50,000 worth of benefit in your business right now. Even if you only found 2 or 3 hours by being more effective with the right default diary around task management, not time management, then you're going to find yourself 20 or 30 hours over the course of the next 2 or 3 months. Now, that's a really, really simple way of building your business, because you can now dedicate another 2 or 3 hours minimum every week to set marketing strategies and campaigns using, like my models and frameworks to just roll out into your business and actually have these things drive forward over and over again and 2x or 3x your business. You're gonna be able to get the right mentoring for your team. You're gonna be able to potentially go and do more presentations, more philanthropic avenues, work with more community groups and create better impact to the communities that we work with. That's when your business starts to really roll forward. It's not just about going through $100 of social media and make $1 million like we always hear. That rubbish doesn't exist and hold over a period of time. There's a lot more structure and stability that needs to be in your business, and that comes around first and foremost from you having the right default diary, the right ideal week, so you're working in your genius with the right priorities on your diary first and foremost, and then you've got so much more avenue to be able to move forward from there as you build and grow. And so there it is, guys. That's the best way for you to become more effective, not just efficient, and to stop letting this time management bullshit run your business and ruin your health business. The more you stop and talk about time management, or allow people to tell you about managing your time, or how to better, manage your time in your business to be a manager or be a leader and all these, they don't get it, because they're allowing you, in their own words of wisdom, to actually pre-frame your own NLP of your brain to actually start creating negative pathways of not enough time, I can't do this, can't do that, I don't have this, don't have that. So we don't have that avenue in place. So here's the thing, guys, don't let time management ruin your business anymore. Stop talking about time management. Talk about the management of your tasks, being more effective, being more efficient, putting the right tasks, the right priorities in order to make sure that your genius is there, ready to go, getting through the amount of impact and the growth and the momentum, the changing lives, and doing all the things that you want to do in your health business right now. And you do that with a default diary. You do that with your ideal week. You do that by being effective with your right priorities and in your genius mode, and get that negative NLP about time management out of your head, and you watch your business start to grow from here. I've got to fly, I'm going to go and have a swim and have a beer at the pool bar. I'm going to talk to you guys very, very soon. Hit me up, let me know if you've got any questions around that. I'd love to help you guys out, but please, let's not let time management ruin your health business anymore. Task management, be efficient, use a default diary. I'll talk to you soon. Bye for now. Hey guys, thank you very much for listening to another episode of the Profitable Practice Podcast. I would love nothing more than for you to be able to leave a review. I get so much joy out of listening and reading the amazing things that you guys say about this. So please subscribe to our channel, leave a review, and share it with your friends. Let's get some more fantastic information out there so all of us can grow the industry together. Cheers for now.